What is up with housing prices? Okay, today we're going to be talking about, as an expert, what I'm seeing in the market. I'm actually home shopping right now, so I'm going to walk you through a couple of the things that I've seen as both a buyer, but knowing the industry and how it may be able to help you. So let's start off with what the heck is up with home prices. Here's what you need to know as a buyer. A lot of times the prices that you see for a house are made up. It's that simple. And it can be really hard to gauge a market because you're looking at it and you're like, how is this house worth $600,000? And the truth is, it's not. That's just what the seller wants, or that's how the agent got their business. They said, hey, I think your house is worth 600. Some other agent said 400, and they're like, oh, I'm going to work with you, right? Of course, they're going to work with the person that says their house is worth more. So one of the things that I like to do is when I'm looking at a house, Zillow is my platform of choice, and I'm going to tell you why. So look, should you click buttons to meet realtors on Zillow? No. Zillow's taking a cut of their commission, or they're being paid. It's not because they're the best agents in America. Don't fall for that. But their data is good. So I really like the price history. I see crazy stuff in the price history, and it's something I go through with my clients. I was looking at a house the other day, and it was like, oh, they want 600,000. And I looked at the history and I'm like, this house has been for sale every single year since 2020 for 600,000. Guess what? If you didn't get 600,000 when rates were free, you're not getting it now. So that shows you've got a seller that's fixated on the price. The other thing I'll see is with the price history, you'll see crazy stuff where it's like, okay, right now they want 600,000, but in the summer of last year, they would have taken 520. And nothing's changed, right? Depending on the market, seasonality, you'll see that too. So if I'm looking at the price history and I'm looking at that house, I am not saying that house is worth 600. I'm going, it's probably worth 520 or less, because if it was for sale last year at 520, it didn't sell. Guess what? There's no way it went up 80K this year. Nope, I don't think so. Like, are there a couple markets where there's been a lot of appreciation? Not like that. I mean, you saw appreciation like that in 21 and 22 because money was free, right? I'm sorry, a 2% or a 3% interest rate is free. So really look at those price histories because there's a lot of devil in those details. Another thing, a red flag that I'll see in the price histories is if I'm looking at a house and it's like, fresh to market 2 days. And I look at the history and I'm like, okay, this has been for sale for a year and it goes into contract, it falls out. It goes into contract, it falls out. It goes into contract, it falls out. Something's wrong with the house. Seriously, and sometimes you'll hear from the listing agent, no fault of the house. Oh my gosh, the amount of times in my career we have seen no fault of the house. And then the buyer calls me and they're like, hey, Jen, is it a problem that the foundation's totally cracked and it's going to fall apart? And I'm like, yeah, it is. We're not doing your loan. And they're like, they said it was no fault of the house. Yeah, it is. The foundation's cracked and the house is going to fall apart. So really make sure you are not taking what is said in the comments by the listing agent seriously. Like, maybe, but would I trust it? No. If a house is falling in and out of contract, like, something is up. Once, maybe they had a buyer that wasn't qualified. Usually if an agent has one buyer that's not qualified, they're more careful on the second. But, would I not go see that house? If I really liked it, I would go and see it, but I would definitely be using my eagle eyes to figure out what is going on. Because if it's not an issue with the house, is it an issue with the price? Okay. And that's the thing. Figuring out prices of stuff right now is crazy. I'll look at pockets of markets where I'm like, these houses are just sitting. They're all at a certain price point. Nothing's ever sold at that price point, but you have sellers that don't really need to sell that are trying to create a price within their market. And you just need one of them to crack. So if you're like, well, Jen, how do I figure out what a house is worth? That's where your real estate agent comes in, seriously. And I've done videos about this before, but I would say before you get serious about a house, ask them to run comparable sales. What comparable sales are is it's going to show you everything that's sold around that house that's similar within the last 6 months. That's what will help you gauge what the house is actually worth. So for instance, if I'm looking at a house and it's 600,000 and I'm like, oh, they wanted 520 last year and didn't get it. But the agent pulls comparable sales and the house next door just sold for 600. The one down the street sold for 600. Well, values have likely gone up. But what we'll see a lot of is we'll see, okay, they want 600, maybe it didn't sell at 520, the agent pulls the comparable sales, 480, 480. I mean, look, if the house across the street is the same and it sold for 480 last month, there's no way that house is worth 6. Now, this doesn't work in every state, like Texas, this doesn't work in, but there's a lot of states where Zillow has a little toggle where you can click to sold, and that will show you around the area what has sold. You've got to be a little careful though, because sometimes it sold a long time ago. And when an appraiser is going to ultimately go out to that house and see what the house is worth, they're going to look at comparable sales, ideally within the last 6 months, but up to a year. Going further than a year is really, really rare. It would be for more unusual properties, okay? So that's the thing with values, because look, I feel your guys' pain. I mean, I see it all the time where I'm like, are they on drugs? Are they on drugs? And then I look at the price history and I'm like, oh yeah, they're on drugs. So your agent pulling comparable sales can help, but you looking at that price history will help you understand what's going on as well. Okay, what else do I need to share with you? Okay, I have switched my search. My search now is only within the last 7 days. I'm gonna tell you why. If I didn't like the house 30 days ago, I need to get it out of my brain. And the reason I say that is the longer you're looking, the more desperate you get. Seriously, it's that simple. Like, you just get tired. You're like, ugh, I don't want to spend another 10 hours tonight looking at houses. I hate this. So you go back. Oh, this one wasn't that bad. Oh, it came down $12. So now, I don't really need an office. Like, I can sleep in the bedroom and I can hold my computer when I work. Like, you just get crazy. So switch your search to 7 days, okay? If you've been searching for a couple months, just look at stuff within the last 7 days, because the other stuff, you didn't want it then. You don't want it now, okay? What else? Insurance, homeowners insurance. Man, every single site, whether it's Zillow, Realtor, Redfin, every single mortgage company, we have a search in it too. Yeah, those are so wrong. It's crazy. It's crazy. And there's certain parts of the country where the taxes are dead wrong too. So it's really important that when you're looking at monthly payments, if you're already approved by a loan officer, which you should be, you're definitely checking in on what's going on with rates, because a lot of what the sites are showing you may have you buying down the rate. With homeowners insurance, I recommend, before you write that offer, get a homeowner's insurance quote. I'm looking in Florida. Florida, I love Florida, it's beautiful. Insurance is a thing. So what I do now is, before I emotionally get tied to anything, I'm emailing it to my insurance guy, Dwan. I'm like, Dwan, can you just look this up for me? Because sometimes he sends me back stuff and I'm like, I am never going to walk through that house's door. Now, am I sending Dwan 40 quotes a day? No, God, no. Like, maybe like one a week where I'm like, how bad is it? Because that's the thing. There's certain parts of the country, like California could be one you want to do that with. Not all of it. I would argue that Florida's worse than California when it comes to insurance. But there's other states, Louisiana, parts of Georgia, Tornado Alley, right? Anyone in Tornado Alley, same thing. So you really want an insurance agent that you can just reach out to and say, hey, break it down to me. Because the insurance can strip the affordability. And there are parts of the country where it might be $3,000 a year for insurance. It could be $1,200 a year. It could be $20,000 a year for a $400,000 house, okay? So homeowners insurance is really important. The estimates on all of those sites are wrong, okay? They're just coming up with ideas. So really important you know that. What else? Crime maps. I'm kind of into crime maps right now. You know, I am a lady that is always concerned about her safety. I was raised during the era of the Night Stalker, so I definitely am aware of what's going on around me at every single minute. So with the rate app, if you guys don't have it already, I work at the company. It used to be called Guaranteed Rate, but now we're just Rate because everyone can spell that. If you go into the App Store, there's an app, Rate, pick me as your person. You can do home search, and one of the layers or filters you can pick is a crime map. And that one to me was really funny because one of the areas I looked at, I'm like, I want my crime to be under 5 out of 10. Nothing came up. And I'm like, wow. So then I took it to the max of like, you know, the crimiest place. This place was there. And it doesn't look like it. Like when you're driving through and everything, it doesn't look like it, but I'm not out at 10 o'clock at night. I'm not out at 11 o'clock at night. You know, I'm in bed, tucked up, snuggle wuggle. So the crime map can be really, really eye-opening. And look, does the crime map show if there's any registered sex offenders right by the house you're looking at? No, but most states have that as well. So if safety is something you're really concerned about, or you have small children, etc., I would definitely recommend looking at all of these factors. You know, it's something that can definitely affect how comfortable you are in a home. So overall, what's the deal? Pricing, look, I really think they're making it up. In a lot of parts of the country, they are just making stuff up. Comparable sales are going to be how you determine what a house is actually worth. Just because everything in the area is similar priced, if none of it's selling, is that really the price? Probably not. Insurance, get a homeowner's insurance quote from a real insurance agent before you write an offer because everything online is wrong. Cut your search down to 7 days because otherwise you are going to fall in love with something that you hated before, and it's not going to be a good relationship because you'll be settling. And finally, look, if safety is important to you, there are search engines where you can pick things like a crime map. Our Rate app has that. It also has yoga. So if you if you went through what I went through where I was like, wow, I can't buy here, this is terrifying, you know, you can also do a nice namaste afterwards to calm yourself down and bring your anxiety down after realizing that you live in a 10. So questions, comments, as always, feel free to reach out. My team is licensed in 50 states to help you with your mortgage. We are here to make the process as thorough as possible to get you a fully underwritten pre-approval. But look, I also ask the questions like, are you sure you want this house? So thanks for watching, guys. Chat soon.